I work in the Middle East and North Africa. I am with UN Women for the past 6 years, but I've been working in different agencies before. I grew up in a household that did not necessarily differentiate between men and women in the same space. So whether it was my immediate parents or the larger family, where both responsibilities and opportunities were given to men and women equally. I only started to notice that there is a difference once I got exposed to the other with a capital O. How people are looking at men and women differently, with the power dynamics, with the stereotypes that have been governing the agenda. And that infuriated me. And when I got the opportunity to join UN Women, it was the most natural thing for me to do, because I was so passionate about pushing for an equal playing field for all. And the feminist movement has done an immense job over the past decades. But for us to accelerate and to build on what the feminist movement has done, we just need to have both men and women on board. Unfortunately, the challenges are immense, and as we know, the North Africa, as part of the greater Middle East and North Africa, is home to the largest number of conflicts in the world at the moment. So you don't only have the structural challenges of the gender equality, but you have emerging ones that are exacerbated by conflict. So you're always operating in the red zone, the most important, the most urgent all the time. As a man being part of that team and trying to create change, of course you do find some issues from the well-established feminist movement in the beginning, where asking, why a man? Don't we have qualified women? And the conversation is, well, it's not a man and woman issue, it's the issue of all of us, it's the challenge of all of us. And patriarchy is not only impacting on women and girls negatively, it's also impacting on men and boys negatively. And there is now a very healthy space where we talk about these issues. Many of those who were not reading from the same page are now very strong allies and pushing for the agenda together with me. But having a team in the region that is complementing each other, men and women, allow us de facto to access all spaces. So as a man, unfortunately, there are spaces in the region that are only accessible to men. And this is where I can access. But also there are only accessible places for women, and this is where my women colleagues also access, and this is where we bring one voice and one message, and we advocate for the same thing in the same time in different spaces. I always say that the human trafficking has the face of a woman, because the person who pays the highest price in trafficking is the woman and the girl. While other sister agencies are dealing with trafficking very capably, they are not bringing the gender dimension so forcefully into the discussion and into the discourse. And this is where we're coming in. What we are working on, the three regions together, is to have not only a joint program with the three regions, but also with other agencies, namely the International Organization for Migration and the UN Office for Drugs and Crime, the two entities that have been traditionally working on countering trafficking. This is where we're becoming a third partner, bringing the gender dimension and engendering the whole discourse, and engendering also the programmatic action on the ground. There are what we call the 3 Ps, the protection, prosecution, and the prevention. And those 3 Ps need to be engendered, and this is where we as UN Women are coming in. Yes, we're trying to look into the trafficking and counter it by doing return initiatives, but also looking at the root causes of why people are being so amenable to being trafficked. The economic discourse, the belonging discourse, the peace and security discourse. And this is where we're looking into providing economic empowerment opportunities for young women. This is we're looking into, and this links us to the women's movement, enhancing and expanding on the women's movement, by which we have a younger generation of women movement coming up to speak to the young. So there are multi-dimensional aspects to engage the youth. We as an organization are very aware of it, and that's why a few years ago we had a strategy on youth, and this is where we're going. As we have been speaking some time ago, we need to mainstream gender in our programming. This is where we mainstream youth in our programming, by which in every single program we do, we need to make sure that we have a representative sample of people, women and girls from different ages, not only from different walks of life, but also from different ages.